football, the red zone is where a team has to make small adjustments to ensure victory. As you approach retirement, you also need to make small adjustments to ensure success. This is the Red Zone Retirement Program with registered investment advisor and enrolled agent John Mears of Mears Money Management.
All right, Coach. AI is every flippin' where in every damn conversation. And I'm sick of it. Everybody's getting sick of it already, which is also why we've seen the markets tumbling even prior to the whole Iran thing, which is making the oil prices jump around. There's a lot of frothiness in the markets already about, the AI pullback and things like that, moving forward, but also kind of backing up. So anyway, let's talk about it from the standpoint of retirement, because unfortunately, people are Googling that as well. And we're going to have some graphics that we're going to pop up here as we're having this conversation on some of the top searches for AI in retirement. So we'll talk about that first. How you doing this week? You doing all right?
I'm doing great. We're recording this right in the middle of tax season. I don't do taxes like I used to, where I did 500 tax returns, but I still do tax prep for my larger clients. Just want to make sure that the taxes, which I think are the elephant in the room when it comes to financial planning, are done correctly. So the way to do it correctly is to do it yourself usually. I am willing to farm that out to, any other tax person, but right now I'm a little sleepier than I usually am because I'm working a lot of hours to try to get this done. But this AI thing is interesting. It's something that I have heard a lot here during filing season is, people are very open about how they use AI as well. And we use it. My wife uses it. She's a kindergarten teacher. I told her a long time ago, you're either going to use it or you're going to get used by it. So you need to kind of know how to use it properly. And that's kind of where we're going to get to today is we all know that garbage in, garbage out, which has always existed with computers for 50 years.
It's always existed with humans. So.
Yes. So this is still the issue I'm finding out even with AI today, despite all the advances we're making and all the reassurances we're hearing. This is kind of where I'm at. And we'll talk about this today.
Well, and it's funny about her being a teacher. We just saw a story like a week ago about a student who got did a book report or something. And the thing just like the whole school, all the teachers and principals and everybody was super stoked about how amazing this book report was, and it turned out she did the entire thing with AI, and it's and it brings up this question, you're making people actively dumber by not letting them think and figure and learn and do things for themselves. And not that that's necessarily the topic here. We can easily get into that social tangent as well, but it still does beg the question. Sometimes when you put something into these things, they're not always right. So with that in mind, let's talk about some of the top ones. So will AI take my job before I am ready to retire? This is the biggest one that comes up. And interestingly enough, Coach, I saw Elon not too long ago saying, look, if you're a factory worker, I think the fear has been, since all the way back to the automation of the assembly line, the fear has always been technology is going to replace us in the factory or whatever. He's like, AI is not coming for you if you're in the factories. He's like, if you're in the office, if you do everything solely on a computer, it's coming for you. And so that was kind of interesting, I think, hearing his take on that, one of the, fathers or godfathers or grandfathers or whatever you want to call of AI. But if you're getting close to retirement, is this really a legitimate fear? If you're 5 years out, maybe, but I don't know. It feels like it's probably not.
So there's two things happening at one time here. So there is going to be a lot of replacement. There's going to be a lot of disruption. I think I read
absolutely.
90 million jobs are going to be lost because of AI, but 170 million new jobs are going to be created. So there's going to be some displacement, but there's going to be more jobs in the future. So there's just not enough people for all the jobs that there's going to be. But if you are in a job that just has a certain level of computer automation, then there is the repetitive stuff. And I actually think that's a good thing, because the days of just sitting there and entering data onto an Excel spreadsheet hopefully will be gone someday soon, because I've had to do a lot of that where you go, okay, I got just transposing stuff
There's some tools. Yeah, absolutely. There's some tools that can be very good. But again, we have to be very, very careful about how we're proceeding with this. And it's funny because it's also a buzzword, because now every single piece of software has check out our AI component. Is it really? Or is it like, I mean, is it just predictive text? I mean, I guess that maybe is technically, you could say that's a bit of AI, but I think they're also latching onto the buzzword. I think every realtor website now says, use AI to find a faster home or a better home. And it's like, isn't that still just your search engine?
Yes.
So,
and that's where the prompting is. You start digging into this. I do love AI, but I also know that it has a lot of limitations, and like a lot of things in life, I always found this out when I started doing tax prep years ago, started doing financial planning. The more you do, the more you learn about something, the more you realize how little you know, and you know the restrictions and the limitations that something has. So the prompting to me is where people just put in like their Google search. That's what they're prompting AI. It's a Google search. That's not really moving the needle, folks. So if that's what you're doing, you're not really helping yourself. You're just doing a Google search. The prompting is what is important, and how to create that prompt. And I study this stuff, but again, that does not replace what we're doing in the real world all the time. And it hasn't yet. And we're going to get to that later on in this discussion here about how that works. But the bottom line, is this going to replace you? Like you said, Mark, within the next 5 years, probably not. I don't think, and I actually will even stretch
for the younger generation. Yeah, I'd be more worried. If I was 30, 35, I'd be more concerned.
Yes. And this is why they're recruiting people in their 20s now. They're telling people in college, really focus on this, because this is perhaps where the future is. But if you're 55 or 60 years old, it's probably not something that's going to, again, unless you have a fully automated, a computer automated job, it's probably not going to replace you that quickly.
It's funny. My wife and I were talking, and she was talking about, she's like, we spent years, especially from the female standpoint, she was talking about her experience pushing, women towards, like secretarial jobs and office jobs. And those are the jobs that are actually going to probably be fastest and most affected. Right. And it's like, but for years we said, no, don't learn a trade. Go learn how to work in an office. And now it's like, no, go to learn a trade, because we need tradespeople.
AI is not going to replace the electrician. That is for sure.
No, humans, we do everything, bass backwards, right?
Yes.
So, and by the way, your quote, that was from the World Economic Forum. You were actually pretty close. Yeah, 92 million jobs they predict from that unelected agency that I don't think many people are very fond of, the WEF. But they predicted by 2030, 92 million jobs will be displaced, but 170 new million could be created. So, take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, wherever we're going to fall into that, even if we don't use that exact. I think the bottom line is, over the next 5, 10, 15 years, there's going to be a lot of jobs. There's going to be disruption. We always use the old switchboard operator or elevator repair, operator example.
Analogy. Yeah.
Yeah. Because those people don't have jobs. We have new jobs for that. So there's going to be just a change to different jobs. But again, this search for that we're talking about here is, am I going to have my job replaced this quickly?
Yeah.
Probably not. You're probably okay.
All right. Search number 2. Is my 401k safe with all these AI stocks in it? A lot of people don't realize how much AI exposure they already have, Coach. And so there is let me pull this up real quick. This little clip here from our friends over at Yahoo Finance. It says Morgan Stanley says AI won't let you retire early. Instead, you'll have to train for jobs that don't exist yet. Pretty cynical, so I don't know. Interesting. What's your thoughts on this one?
So first of all, AI is embedded in our economy in many ways. It just is, whether we like to acknowledge that or not. But I also think this is partly just a regular old-fashioned financial planning question about diversification and rebalancing. So we talk about this all the time. You should not have, ladies and gentlemen, all your investments in one sector, one area. I know a lot of people love their Magnificent Seven, and that's fine. But
that's a lot of tech. A lot of AI.
I'm pointing out, I'm going over with my clients right now here in the spring, I'm going over last year's performance report. So last year we experienced a lot of returns because of international. How did my clients experience this and enjoy this? Because we are diversified and we rebalance on the highs and lows.
Right.
So with AI, yes, we have AI, but really it is embedded in the economy. But as far as how you have yourself invested, it comes down to being diversified and then rebalancing on the highs and lows.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the answer to the question here. And what my concern is with that type of question is, do I have too much AI in my portfolio? I don't know. I mean that yes and no. I mean, that's not how we manage our portfolios. We don't manage them by worrying about whether we have gold in there or AI, because gold is throughout the economy. Oil and oil prices are throughout the economy. AI is throughout the economy. So it's all embedded in everything. And if you believe that all our great companies in the United States and internationally are all going to still grow in the long run, then that's where you need to be, regardless of whether AI has some bumps in the road.
I mean, it's the same conversation as saying, do I have too much large cap? Do I not have enough small? Right? Do I have enough medium? Do I not have enough emerging markets? So again, it's all portfolio balancing. And so if it's a concern, certainly, talk with your advisor about looking at your selections and do some rebalancing. Morgan Stanley also estimates that services and cyclical service sectors, most exposed to AI disruption, fears about a 13% sell off at the S&P 500. But to that point, I want to bring this up. At the time we're talking, Coach, right? Because the headlines like to go, I mean, every day I'm getting my update and it's like market crash. It's like, it's crashing every day.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, so in a 1 month period, and right now a lot of the conversation is it's happening due to the conflict with Iran, but over a 1 month period, it's down 2.5% over 30 days. When the conflict has been, at the time we're taping, it's not been going on 30 days. There was already some tech heavy evaluations and some concerns and some all that kind of stuff, floating around before that. So I think it's unfair to just put it in any one category. But again, if you go to it's all about zooming out, right? So if I go to 5 days, it's only down 1% or 1.2%. If I go to a month, it's down 2.5%. That's a little scarier. If I go to 6 months, well, it's up 2.5%, right? If I go to 1 year, calendar year, back to last March, it's up 22%. So again, you got to be careful that the headlines as well don't wrap you up.
Markets go up and markets go down. That's just what it is. I mean, this happens, and it could be for any reason at all out there. It could be, you could say Iran. It could be because of a forest fire. It could be anything that you want. Markets go up and down, and a lot of times for absolutely no predictable reason. So it just happens. And again, this is why I think this is a portfolio question. People are asking this, and this is why we're addressing this. Though people are worried about this, and I'm trying to answer that and saying you're looking at that's not the problem. You're looking at the wrong problem.
Yeah. And I went on a little bit of a long tangent, but I just kind of wanted to explore the fact that these are the top searches about AI and retirement, and AI is moving the needle. The conflict's moving the needle. To your point, underwater basket weaving could be moving the needle, right? It doesn't really matter what it is. Something's always going to move the needle a little bit. So search number 3 here is, should I retire early before AI makes things worse? This one is coming up more than you'd expect. People are actually kind of searching for permission, maybe, really, to just kind of say, can I get out now? Right.
Yes. And that's the way I'm reading this too, because that just the way that question is framed, if this is how the search is going, that is what they're asking. They want to know, can you get me out early?
Right.
And the only answer to that is with planning. And I'm going to be the nerd here again. If you can, then sure. Sometimes that may require a little bit of disruption in your own life, whether you may have to move to a lower cost area, you may have to aim lower on your monthly budget, whatever it might be. But the answer is yes and no. But yeah, AI is coming. It's you can't put the toothpaste back in into the tube. I mean, it's already here, and it's in society, and it will continue to manifest itself in society. We're going to have a lot of navigation here to figure out how to best use it, and I think that's going to take longer than what Elon says. And Elon's a brilliant guy, much smarter than I am, but I do think it's going to be a little bit longer ramp up period than people think. So getting out early. If you're just asking permission to retire, well, talk to me. We'll see if you can retire. But it has nothing to do with AI. That's an emotional decision. Has nothing to do with whether or not AI is affecting you, and whether AI is going to ruin everything or not. We can talk about whether you can retire. Whether you can do this before.
And it's trying to figure out our own. Am I ready to retire, or am I just scared?
Yes,
right? That's a tough one, and it doesn't matter what the catalyst is, whether AI or whether it was the assembly line for people 70 years ago, right? It's the same question, right? Am I ready to retire, or am I just scared? So understandable though, absolutely understandable. Search number 4, and then we'll wrap it up with this one, Coach. Can AI actually help me or my plan be better for retirement? And again, it's a tool like any other.
Yes and no. Yes. So I always divide up my job and retirement planning into two different areas. One would be analytical stuff, and then there is also the human and empathetic side, or the just kind of, I'll call it the vibe side, if you will indulge me here.
Sure.
So the analytical stuff, yes. AI will definitely help with the analytical stuff. And I even use that in my own practice for some of the analytical stuff. The number crunching, some of the spreadsheety type stuff, it certainly does help. I'm thinking of one client right now who has guilt with their portfolio and how they inherited a lot and how they are managing their portfolio. I have another client who is scared to death of everything, it seems. And only by talking to me do they kind of intellectually kind of fight their way through it. I have another client who can't make a decision. we give them all the information and they can't go to that. They cannot implement.
Been there. I'm there right now about things in life. So I hear that.
So implementation is a huge thing. I don't care what AI is going to tell you, what ChatGPT or Grok, whatever is going to tell you. If you can't implement it, it's not helping you at all anyway. Again, intellectually, it's doing the analytical stuff, but knowing how to implement. And then we all know the concerns we have when the markets go down. This is when most advisors are really getting a lot of bang, for in their client's life, is when 2008 happens, when 2020 happens, when the market goes down 30% in 3 weeks, or 2022, when we have a disruption with the bond markets, which was a 100-year flood kind of experience. So when things are going wrong, people, this is why I hate risk. I've said this before in other podcasts. I don't like these risk analyzers because people are liars. They have no idea how they're going to react when the market drops 30%. They don't.
You're unintentionally lying to yourself, right? Because you're like,
absolutely.
Oh, I'll be fine with it. And then it happens. You're like, oh, crap.
Yeah. So the example I always give is, we'll use 2022 because it's very recently, but the market was dropping and dropped over 10, 15%. What is the best thing to do when the market drops? We know intellectually, buy more.
Right.
We know that.
Or maybe nothing, right? Or do nothing.
Maybe nothing, but the idea is buy low, sell high. So when the market's down, everything's on sale. That's a good opportunity to buy. It's just impossible, or very difficult. It's not impossible to convince people to put more money into the market during those kinds of disruptions. On the other hand, right now, when the market's been going gangbusters for 3 or 4 years, everybody just wants to keep putting money in, and they're all very confident. I see this right now during tax season. Everybody's got a Robinhood account, and they're all very, very smart. And so I'm seeing this. I'm like, okay, we'll let you do what you're doing, but be very concerned about, when the stuff hits the fan here, how are you going to react to that? Because there is a lot of hubris for individual investors where they're, we've seen the studies where people are generally overconfident in their abilities to drive, and they're also overconfident in their abilities to manage a portfolio. And so this is something that AI can't take care of that for you.
Right.
If you believe you're a better driver than every other driver on the road, well, AI can't.
And we all do.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So the same thing goes with investments and financial planning and retirement planning. If you believe that you're above all this and that, you've got it, I will challenge you, first of all, probably not as true as you think it is. And that is where you have to have some empathy. And again, the vibe factor, the human side of things, to address the fear, to address the guilt, to address the inability to make, to implement and all that. That'll never be replaced. It will never be replaced by AI ever. And so that is where it is so important to have an advisor or somebody. I always call it an accountability coach, if you will, somebody that's going to make sure that you are going to get the stuff done. Because we all are wishy-washy, including yours truly, and getting stuff done. I got to do something in the garage, which I've been putting off for 3 months. So, we all got stuff we got to get done.
It's, Coach, I mean, I call you coach, and not just because if you're new here, because he's, coaching about money and things, but because he was a football coach for a number of years as well. And it's like, professional athletes, by the time they get to that level, do they really need someone to tell them how to run a block? Do they really need someone to tell them how to run a route or pass the ball? Probably not, right? But it's the accountability of the coaching. It's the looking at it a little bit more objectively, because you just ran that route and didn't see that you ran it as inefficiently as you could have. I did, because I'm standing way over here, kind of thing. And that's the same kind of a conversation when it comes to behavioral management, which is coaching, to what you're talking about for finance. Sometimes we need somebody to go, it's okay to be scared. Here's what's going on, but you're going to be all right. If you don't do this, you're going to be better. If you do this, you might be, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it's just again, it's the vibe. I don't know how else to put it. I wish I.
That's a great word. I like that.
That's what I have just talked to so many people, and so just this last week, I was talking to a guy about a tax matter, and something just popped up in my head from something I'd done with a different client 20 years ago, and I'm like, this is what we need to do here. And so just by that experience and kind of knowing this guy kind of related to that, and there's no way that ChatGPT would have known this, and so it's just again old age and experience.
Yeah,
being a wily veteran.
And until it can spell strawberry correctly, I am not trusting it anyway. And if you haven't seen those videos and you don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out.
I've got so much bad stuff.
Cracks me up that apparently it doesn't realize that it says how many R's are in strawberry, and it keeps saying only 2, and it's like, are you sure about that? So it's still got a ways to go.
One last thing about the AI too. Also, you got to know your stuff. And professionals, we talk about this where we'll put in some sort of a prompt and we'll get an answer. And I have gotten absolutely wrong answers. 100% wrong answers. So that's something also that there is a bias somehow, some way. There is not even a bias like politically, but just
they got that too. Yeah,
they may. But they also there's if there's wrong information out there and you're again doing nothing but a Google search rather than doing true prompting, it'll give you bad information. So you got to be very, very, very careful about that.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of coding that happens from people right now as well. So that's just again that brings biases. So we're not at the stage where we have actually true AI that completely and 100% thinks on its own, which I'm sure we don't want. But then that might be a different conversation, but we're not there. So, and maybe we should never be there. I don't know. But anyway, that's our interesting conversation and debate today here on the podcast. But when it comes to, is AI going to take things over for your retirement, especially if you're in the next 5 to 7 years? Probably not. But if you're worried, get onto the calendar, have a conversation with a human, and sit down and have a chat today with somebody like Coach John Mears. You can find all the links in the show descriptions below. Book a chat with John.net or go to his main website. We'll have all those links again in the descriptions down below. And with that, we'll see you next time here on Red Zone Retirement Program, Simple Investing, Smart Future. Hit that like and subscribe button right here on YouTube or Apple or Spotify, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
John has a couple of free books, Diffuse and Tax-Free Retirement in California, that reveal exactly how you can experience zero taxes in retirement and overcome the IRS lien on your 401k, IRA, and 403b, which could threaten your future lifestyle. These are complimentary, so all you have to do to pick these up 100% free is just stop by rescuemyretirement.net. That's rescuemyretirement.net. Fill in the basic info and he'll ship those out to you immediately. That's rescuemyretirement.net for a copy of Diffuse and Tax-Free Retirement in California.
Advisory services offered through Mears Money Management, Inc., an RIA registered in the states of California and Texas. California Department of Insurance License number 0685203.